By the end of 2030, I will be a full-time writer and content creator. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Just another struggling writer. The Beleaguered Authors one-stop shop for commiseration and hopefully inspiration. My name is Carrie Scher, and I am just another struggling writer. Well, today is actually Friday, November 21st, just 30 days out from the end of my Finish Your Book Fall Challenge, which will end on December 21st. And you may notice I am at home and the sun is shining, and that is because I have elected to take a mental health day today. As I have mentioned a couple of times in previous videos, I've had a rough couple of months, and unfortunately, life has just been determined to keep its boot on my neck, and that is still true. I have been persevering through it of late. I've gotten back out of my slump in such a way that I can weather this latest storm, but it has been another thing that I've had to deal with mentally lately. As a result, I have been thinking a lot about my future, and specifically my future goals and my hopes and dreams and aspirations for my writing career, or what I hope will be a writing career and not just a writing hobby. I've made it no secret on this channel that it is my hope one day to become a published author, ideally traditionally published. And I don't think it would be that much of a surprise for y'all to learn that I would really like it if I could be a full-time published author, meaning that I one day want writing to be my full-time job. That being said, I know how unlikely that is and how rare it actually is to make enough money off your writing to make it your full-time job, and that most writers end up maintaining a day job. I know all that. I accept the reality of it. I do actually love my day job, and if I do end up needing to stay in this job, I'm not going to be, so brokenhearted about it that it ruins everything. But for a long time, I feel like I've just sort of been stuck in this cycle of very, very slow, very incremental progress. And don't get me wrong, I'm proud of the progress I have made, especially over the last year and a half of really committing to a single project and getting this far in that I am almost halfway done with my second draft, the farthest I've ever taken a project. But when I think about that incremental progress, and I think about my age, and I think about how my oldest is in high school now and will be graduating in a couple of years, and just the course my life has taken, I'm to the point now where I feel like I want to make changes in my life and my approach that makes this slow incremental progress feel a little bit more substantial. As you guys know, one of the things that I really, really struggle with is consistency and writing consistently and prioritizing writing. And again, I've made some strides in that area, especially over the last year or so. But today is Friday, the end of another work week in which I have not written a single thing. But as we approach the end of the year and prepare to launch into a new year, typically a time where I feel the most energized and the most motivated, I have been thinking a lot about what changes I want to make to take this goal, this dream, this aspiration, and make it a reality. Even if it's not next year, even if it's not 3 years, maybe even if it's 5 years from now, what can I do starting right now to make that a reality? I know they say comparison is the thief of joy, but in my case, I have been trying to take comparison as motivation. And in thinking about some of my favorite fellow author tubers here on the platform, specifically Lynn Jung, Meredith E. Phillips, and Alyssa in the books, and I think about what qualities that they possess that I think I could integrate into my own life and my own psyche and my own process to help propel me forward. One quality I think it would be fair to say that all three of those people have that I have really struggled with over the years is discipline and commitment to writing. And yes, I am willing to extend myself a little bit of grace. My life is totally different from any three of those. But I can also acknowledge that for whatever reason, I have tended to take a shorter view of things. Yes, I have endeavored to make long-term plans in the past, but because of that lack of discipline and commitment, I've very rarely followed through on them. And so as we move towards the end of this year and into a new year, which is a time I typically feel the most energized and the most motivated to make changes, I just feel like I am now to a point where I'm ready to stop thinking about my life in the short term and ready to make a long-term commitment to what has been a lifelong dream. It is with that in mind that I am sitting here before you today on Friday, November 21st, 2025, that by the end of 2030, 5 years from now, I will be a combination full-time writer and content creator. It might surprise you to hear that content creation is included in that, considering I've always talked about how this is just a fun hobby for me. My intention was never to do this for money or to join the rat race of other content creators. But something that the last several months have really shown me is it fulfills me. It is a creative endeavor that is different from writing that I have found fun and also found a community with. And while it still isn't that important to me that I get a bunch of subscribers or that I get to a point where my channel becomes profitable, and those considerations certainly won't impact the way that I make content or the type of content I create, I am ready to admit that I really like it. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and that I hope that if I continue on the trajectory that I have been on over the last 12 months, that maybe that can join writing as something that supports me in the future. Another thing you might be thinking is, Carrie, those are not things that you can really count on. Becoming traditionally published requires a lot of luck in addition to a lot of hard work, and the same can be said for content creation. I know that, but I have always been someone who is more motivated the crazier the goal is, the more outlandish, the more unattainable. By setting my sights on a higher goal, I push myself harder than I would have with a much more attainable goal. I am very much someone who relies on stretch goals because attainable goals end up being less motivating to me. I freely admit that that is a toxic trait. And so I am not setting out on this 5-year plan by thinking about that as something that's impossible. I am setting my sight on that as something that I will achieve. What I would like to do next is kind of sort through what it means to be setting out on this path and the steps I would need to take and the goals that I would need to set and the habits I would need to form in order to be successful in this 5-year plan that I have just decided I am embarking on. Hello again. Astute viewers may notice that it is a different day. It is actually now Sunday morning, and since I last sat at this desk, I have been thinking a lot about what I said on Friday and my big 5-year plan. And it started to feel a little bit like I had just made this big declarative statement and didn't talk about the elephant in the room, which is how I'm going to support that statement. It kind of felt like I was just Michael Scott declaring bankruptcy.
I declare bankruptcy!
So I wanted to come back and address that directly. How am I going to make my 5-year plan, becoming a full-time writer and content creator, a reality? Especially when discipline has been an area of struggle for me. I've been giving it some thought, and I think there are 3 main areas in which I should focus my energy and improve upon to build a really solid foundation for what I hope will be my future authorial and content creation success. And you could say that each one of these areas is partially inspired by those 3 author-tuber creators that I mentioned earlier, Lynn, Meredith, and Alyssa. The first thing I would like to change is utilizing a dedicated writing space. Now, longtime viewers know that I do actually have a dedicated writing space in my home that is unfortunately rarely used as a dedicated writing space, and it is in fact where I am sitting now, my writing desk in my bedroom. Unfortunately, over the last several years, I have tried to convince myself that I actually can do writing while multitasking, watching TV or playing games, cross-stitching or whatnot. And while I have managed to work my way through an entire first draft that way, now almost 50% of the way through the second draft, I'm ready to admit that I need to have a space that is just used for writing, a place that I can go to shut out all the other distractions and to get into a writing mode. Thankfully, I already have this space set up It's just a matter of enforcing how I use it. Now, in order to get started on this habit, I do need to take care of my writing space a little bit better, tidy it up a little bit, and really prepare it for actual consistent use. It's a great day to get it cleaned up today because today is the day we are getting the Christmas tree, which means my recliner is actually coming into the bedroom because we have no other space for it, and it's going to go right behind me. So what I'm going to do today is get everything from this part of the wall all the way back to my bookshelves cleaned up and ready, so that if I wanted to, I could sit down tonight and really feel good about this space. You could say this part of my foundation is motivated by Meredith because I have always admired how she is always at that writing desk that she has in her office. And she has really taken care of it, and she's really curated it into a space where she can sit down and instantly get into that mode of being creative. And that is kind of what I would like to emulate. This is my holy space of writing. And if I'm going to do that, I need to make it really feel welcoming and really feel like it has a purpose that it is actually being used for. The second area in which I need to improve vastly is dedicating specific time to writing. I have always made excuses in the past about why I cannot write a specific amount of time or at a specific time every day. And while having a full-time job and having 3 kids and everything else that goes into that does mean that my days cannot be standardized in that way, I do think I could be doing more to make writing a priority and make it a thing that I am doing every single day at the exact same time. Something I am borrowing from Alyssa is the idea of ladder sprints. A ladder sprint is, in theory, a set period of time where you're increasing the amount of time you're being productive, starting with 12, 24, 36 to 48. And if you fulfill all of those sprints, you will have been productive for 2 hours. And I've really wanted to try these for a while. 2 hours is a lot to carve out in a day. However, after giving it some thought this weekend, I've realized that it's not that I don't have the time, it's just that I'm not making that time available to myself. And that right there is exactly what I'm going to change. So my goal is from now on to carve out from 9 p.m. when my kids are going to bed until 11:30-ish when I need to be going to bed. And that is going to be my dedicated writing time. In that time, I'm going to be doing these ladder sprints with 2 little changes. The first being that instead of increasing the productivity time, I'm actually going to be doing a descending ladder. I'm going to start with a 48-minute sprint and then go down to the 12-minute sprint to finish out. The reason for that is because I am writing at night, I anticipate that my level of creativity and my level of mental energy will be going down the later it gets. So instead of trying to force myself to get through a 48-minute sprint at 11 o'clock at night, I think it would be better for me to taper off. I'm also going to be adding descending breaks in between the sprints. So starting with a 15-minute sprint in between 48 and 36, 10 between 36 and 24, and then a 5-minute sprint to finish it off. That adds that extra half hour into that 2-hour block for a total of 2.5 hours from 9 o'clock to 11:30. And yes, I know that that's not going to be perfect all the time, that my kids aren't always in bed at exactly 9 p.m. and there might be things that distract me. I am, after all, in my bedroom and my partner's going to want to come in and out. It is what it is. The point is not perfection. The point is having a plan and sticking to it as best that I can. And then finally, a little nagging voice at the back of my head planted there by one of Lynn's videos that I watched recently is that I am not doing enough to cultivate my backlog of story ideas. And this is probably going to be the hardest thing that I try to attempt, but what I would like to do from here on out is twofold. First, I would like to be working on 2 projects at any given time. Not in the same phase of writing, so I'm not going to be drafting 2 projects at once, but what I would like to do is if I have a project that I'm drafting, I'd like to have something else that I'm brainstorming or world building or outlining, getting ready to start drafting. So that way when the project that I'm drafting goes into the revision phase or so on, then I can move on and add this new project into drafting. So that way I'm just constantly building a backlist of story ideas, things that I can be creatively engaged in, and that I can, in theory, present to agents or editors or whatnot, depending on what phase that I'm in of my writing career. And I freely admit that's going to be really, really hard, especially right now as I am trying to establish these new writing habits. Thinking back to those latter sprints that I was talking about, if I can get my goal done for my drafting project before the end of the sprints, I can use those shorter sprints to do a little bit of brainstorming or world building of my second project. That's part one. Part two is that I would also like to start exploring short fiction. I have always been a long form girly, with the exception of Drabbles, which is a form of flash fiction of exactly 100 words in length. But what really got me thinking about this was Lynn's recent video of many of the story ideas, not even all, that she has cooking in her backlist, and things that she can pull out whenever she needs something new to work on or just wants something fresh to engage in. And it made me realize that I am kind of one-dimensional in my writing. I write long form fantasy. That's it. And if I want to make writing a career, I've come to realize that I can't just rely on these long form novels. And if I want to grow as an author, which I do, I should be branching out into other forms of fiction that I may not be necessarily completely comfortable in. And that has always been short fiction, short stories in particular. So something else that I would like to start doing, maybe not right this moment, maybe in the new year, is start writing more short stories, maybe one a month, of something really, really compact, of like 1,000 or 2,000 words only, not for any real publication purposes, but just to start flexing my muscles and start testing my limitations to see how much I can grow in those areas. So those are the 3 blocks of the foundation that I hope will one day support a long-term writing career. But those aren't the only things that I am going to be relying on. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in some future videos, especially as we get towards the end of the year and start looking towards 2026. I've got some ideas for some new habits that I want to start forming, and I even want to try a 90-day hard challenge for writers in the new year. But starting today, which is now Sunday, my goal is to implement these 3 blocks, because without this foundation, I'm not going to have any ground to stand on. So with that in mind, I hope you come along with me on this journey, and I hope to count on your support as I navigate this new 5-year plan that I am putting into place.
Walked over, joined in the line, jaw dropped, you wearing all white. Wonder when you got so fine. Yeah. Said hi and asked what's been up. Kept talking month after month. Your time, I can't get enough. Not alone anymore. You could be the one I'm looking for. You could be the one my heart adores. Got me in my head, yeah. Don't need second guesses. Falling but won't let it show. You're what I'm looking for. You had me at the door. Walked in, I need some more of you. I need you in my life. I want you all the time. I'm falling through the sky for you. I promise not gonna lie. Showing more of this side. A victim of different lies, but I might try for one of a kind. I might try for you to see through oversight, baby, yeah.
Yeah, one time for my girl back home. Say this twice so you won't feel alone. My love for you has grown. My love for you has grown. Miles apart but I still feel closer. Shines bright but I don't lower exposure. Smoke show before you even get to know her. Yeah.
With that, thank you so much for watching. I so appreciate it. If you like my content and want to support the channel, please like and subscribe, or consider leaving a comment down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, let me know what your long-term writing goal is and how I can support you in meeting that goal as well. In my next video, I will not have a writing vlog for you since I haven't done any writing this week, but what I will have is a fun little getting ready for my favorite part of the year, Christmas season vlog for you. I hope you look forward to it, and I will see you then. Bye.
I need you in my life. I want you all the time. I'm falling